The American Civil War, 1860 to 1865. To understand the nation's history, you must understand the cause and effects of the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. One historian even referred to the Civil War as the crossroads of our being. A study of U.S. history that minimizes the impact of the conflict would be similar to a study of human anatomy that downplays the role of the heart, making our knowledge of human anatomy, well, heartless. Key concepts. Various tensions between regions came together to cause the Civil War. A fundamental disagreement between Northerners and Southerners about the Constitution contributed to the war. Slavery became a crisis in the context of Western expansion. Compromise on slavery, dating from the writing of the Constitution, became harder and eventually impossible by 1860. Many social scientists view the Civil War as a watershed in American historical development, for it shaped the future of the nation in a number of ways. The war was a catalyst in the industrialization of the United States, and the industrial capitalist class became dominant. The federal government was deemed paramount in relation to the states. Race and class relations were profoundly affected by the war. The war further stimulated and accelerated industrialization. The war forever ended the institution of slavery. Asked, asked about the causes of the Civil War, everyone talks about slavery. Of course, slavery was the fundamental cause, but there were other causes too. A deeper understanding of the Civil War reveals other tensions in this nation prior to the war, though all were in one way or another affected by the slavery issue. Some of these tensions came from regional differences, some from political differences. Reconstruction, 1863 to 1877. A pivotal movement in recent U.S. history has been the struggle by blacks to achieve racial equality. Many remember, or are at least aware of, the leaders' organization and demonstrations that shaped the 1950s and 60s over the question of the rights of African Americans. But the plight of black Americans did not begin 30 or 40 years ago. In fact, it can be said that this struggle is as old as the nation. Yet 2 decades in the 19th century, the 1860s and the 1870s, stand out as much as any, including the 1950s and 60s. As essential to the goal of redefining race relations in the United States, beginning in the middle of the Civil War and ending in the late 1870s, the Reconstruction era was in some ways a success and in others a failure. In fact, one historian has called it an unfinished revolution, while another has referred to it as a splendid failure. Whatever one's view, it is important to understand that Reconstruction was more than a civil rights movement. It also redefined and recreated the South, expanded capitalism, and temporarily led to the rise and division of one political party, the breakdown of another, and set in motion forces that would have long-term consequences for the nation. What is more, it helped determine the nature of the American nation-state. Key concepts. Attitudes and economic and political forces influenced the dimensions of Reconstruction. Lincoln and Johnson's lenient Reconstruction plans clashed with the radical Republicans' Reconstruction methods and objectives. The Republican Party sought to contain blacks in the South in order to establish the nucleus of their party in that section of the country. Southern Redeemers temporarily reinstated the South's pre-war political and social system, leading to a more punitive radical Republican Reconstruction. Congress ratified three important civil rights amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, freeing the slaves, making them citizens, and giving them the right to vote in that order. Reactionaries regained control of the South, and blacks were regulated to sharecropping and social and political subordination. A political deal between Southern Democrats and the Republican Party ended Reconstruction.